So today we are installing a front bumper on a 2016 to current Toyota Tacoma. It's a Mobtown off-road bumper. It's got full hoops. We've already installed the winch and light bar. It's not going to be included in the instructions because everyone's a little bit different. But we're going to get started by pulling off the grill, disconnecting the fog lights, and then pulling off the bumper cover, trimming that, and then we'll get into installing our front plate bumper. So to remove the grill, you have two screws in the center, and then you have clips on the outside. Remove the two middle screws with a 10 millimeter. Set them to the side. Remove the outer clips with a flathead screwdriver. They just simply pop up and pull out. Set those to the side. Remove the grill, carefully lift up on the center, and then just pull straight out. Okay, next we're removing all the screws from the bottom of the bumper cover. There's, I think, 4 per side. Again, it's a 10 millimeter. That's it for the bottom. Then you have one up inside the fender flare. Take that one out. And then there's a clip right here. That clip is a 1/4 turn clip with a flathead screwdriver. And then that clip just simply pulls back. It's actually not even on this bumper cover. It must have slipped off, but all it's doing is holding the inner fender to the bumper cover. So we'll take that one out, and then the same process on this side. Quarter turn, screwdriver behind it, and then pull it straight back. And again, all it's doing is holding the inner fender to the front bumper cover. Okay, so next we are going to pull the inner fender back temporarily, just so we can access the wire harness to the fog light. The fog light's right above, and there's just a quick disconnect to the back of the fog light. Go ahead and push that clip in and pull the plug down. Now your fog light's disconnected, and then do the same thing on the other side. So next we're going to remove the front bumper cover. There's a few clips across the front that is behind the grill to get the cover off. It's the same as we did with the grill. Flathead screwdriver, and then pull the clip out. And then here is your wire harness that goes to the fog lights. It's actually connected to the bumper cover in a few spots, here and here. What I like to do is compress them from the side and push those through here. And then it disconnects right here from the factory wire loom. So now we have to not completely remove the flare, but to get the bumper cover off, you have to pull the flare away from the bumper cover about 2 inches. It sticks through with a wedge type clip that's molded into the flare. So you got to do that on both sides, and then the bumper cover then pulls forward and comes off. So we're going to go back up under the bumper cover like you did removing the fog light wiring harness, and up inside the bumper cover there's 2 black clips right there. You can see the one's got a white circle around it. You have to push those clips in, and then the flare will pull away from the bumper cover. So then when you go to pull it away, you're going to give it a little bit of force because there's one particular clip in here that kind of locks it in place and it'll just pop off. The clip's right there. You can see it, it's a blue clip. So to remove the front bumper cover, it's best to do it at the same time with another person. You pull both sides out, you hold the fender flare out, pull the bumper cover out. It's going to resist, but it will break free. And then once you have that, just pull the entire bumper cover forward and then set the bumper cover off to the side. So next we are going to remove the aluminum crash bar and we're going to take off these air deflection guards that are on that deflect the air from the stock rail into the bumper. So you got to remove the plastic first. There's a series of clips all across it. Just look for them. This is so you can access the nuts that are against the stud on the crash bar. I just loosen them, I don't fully take them off. And then next you remove the 6 nuts fully from the 6 studs on the chassis. So now that the 6 bolts are free from the crash bar, we're going to pull that off. It's not going to be reused, so we're just going to throw it away. Next, you're going to pull these 2 shrouds off. They're held in with clips just like the front bumper was. There's one on the side here. They're a little bit of a different style, but it's the same concept. There's one on each side. And then just pull it straight out. You're not reusing these pieces either. So next, now that the crash bar is removed, you're going to remove your tow hook. And this isn't a 100% necessary step, but we tend to remove these end caps because they just aesthetically don't look correct once the plate bumper's on. So you're going to use a 17 millimeter to pull these out. Again, you can discard them. You're not going to reuse them. Next, we are going to relocate this. It's got to go back so it does not interfere with the plate bumper installation. There's a bolt. There's 3 bolts total. 2 on the front of it. There's one here and one here. You're going to remove those. And then there's a 3rd one behind the passenger side tire. There's a small splash guard you have to remove, and then you'll remove that bolt. So set these to the side because they'll get reused. Now you'll come to the passenger side behind the tire. There's a splash guard right here. It's a fabric. You're going to remove that around those, one there and one there, and then that bolt head right there is what you're going to remove, and you're not going to reinstall this bolt. To relocate this, there are some supplied bracketry. It's just some flat plate and 2 button head screws and 2 nylon locking nuts. The button head screws use a 5/32 Allen key. The nuts use a 7/16 box wrench. So what you do is you take this, pull it forward, and then you take one bracket, one bolt, and one nut. You put the bolt in from the bottom. Loosely secure the nut. Do the same thing on the other one. And then use your 7/16 wrench and Allen key and tighten the hardware so that the plates are pointing forward. Now that the relocation brackets are on, you take the two bolts that you originally removed from the front, you push this back, and you put the bolts back in the same holes. And then tighten with a 12mm. Now we're going to remove the factory fog lights from your stock bumper cover. Our bumper works with factory lights, either your standard round ones or on the pros that come with the pods from Rigid Industries, or they work with almost every aftermarket fog out there. So you got to remove this screw on both lights. You're not going to reuse that screw. And then the lights simply lift out and set them to the side. Now, make note of what side they come from. In case you forget, it's also in the injection molding on the light. It says bottom right, so obviously it's going to be pointing towards the bottom, and it's going to be on the right hand side of the truck as if you were sitting in it. The other light will say bottom left. Next, we are going to remove the wire loom that is for the fog lights. It's just a series of clips throughout the bumper. They're all compression clips. I use a variety of tools, typically a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes you can use a pair of needle nose pliers. And then set that to the side. Okay, next we are going to remove the lower air valance, as you see here. And you don't really have to, but I like to do it because it makes it easier to find the marks on where you're going to make your cut. So flip the bumper upside down, and there's just a bunch of wedges. So again, flathead screwdriver, pull all the, pry all the wedges away. There's a lot of them.
One eternity later.
And then discard this piece. Next, pull the black surrounds from where the fog lights were out of the bumper cover. They're held in with clips as well. Next, we're going to install the factory fog lights into our plate bumper. You're going to use these supplied brackets and a bunch of 1/4-20 hardware. They all go together with 5/32 Allen keys, 7/16 wrenches. So first, you put the bracket to the front side of the light on both sides is how it's going to go. Hardware, and just loosely assemble everything until it's all together, and then go back and tighten. Next, you put the brackets on the light, tighten the hardware down snug. These are nylon locking nuts, so they won't come loose. Once you do that, set your light in place. You're going to use the back set of holes, and you're going to push it all the way to the back of the slot in this place. Tighten up this hardware, and then repeat on the other side. Next, we are going to mark and cut the stock bumper cover. Now, the way we designed our plate bumper is it actually blocks your cut. So that way you don't have to be so worried about making a perfect straight cut. Or if you mess up a little bit, it's okay. So typically, I take a Sharpie, our bumper will come up to this edge here. So I take a Sharpie and I just go below it. Because again, it doesn't matter. Our bumper cover is going to cover your cut. So I'll make my mark, I'll go straight across with it, and then I'll come inside here. After I make my cut, you'll lift the tape up and you'll end up scoring this out, and then do it on the other side, and then the bottom half of the bumper cover gets thrown away. So after you make your cut, again, you don't have to get super critical with the cut on this. Again, our bumper actually sits above this body line right here, so you'll never see it. You're going to put your bumper cover back on after you cut it, and then to cut the fender flares, this is off the passenger side. This is an arc measurement, so it's 11 1/8 arc measurement, and then just level or to the ground or level with the truck straight across. So we cut both sides. I leave the tape on until we put the bumper back on. That way we don't accidentally scratch any paint on the bumper cover. Next, all of the clips that you removed when you originally pulled the cover off, you're simply going to put them back in. Set them in flush, push the cap down until you hear the snap. Again, one next to the headlight, 3 across the face, or 4 across the face, excuse me. One here, and that's it. We supply 6 washers, and you reuse the nuts from the crash bar. So now we're simply just going to set the bumper up in place. Once the bumper's in place, go ahead and put the washers on and throw a couple nuts in, just to keep the bumper from falling. The step we just finished, which we didn't show, was we just ran the negative and the positive cable from the winch through underneath here. We secured it with a zip tie through the hole behind the headlight and then up to the battery, just simply running to the negative and the positive on the battery. So now we're going to put the fog light wiring harness back in. Clip the first black one with the pigtail into the top. Again, run it back underneath the bumper cover. And then just go through and clip your connections back from the underside into the bottom of the bumper cover. This final one goes through the face. And there's one clip on the wire loom that you kind of can't see. I can pull it through here. You won't be able to clip this one back in because it was part of the bumper that you ended up cutting off. But it's not a big deal. So then you finish out by connecting your quick connect into your fog light. Once the wire loom's back in place, go ahead and put your push pins back in across the front. Once that's in, we can then set the grill back into the face. Pins go on the outside, screws go in the center, and then tighten the screws. So what we did, not on video, is we cut the inner fender out so it's not hanging down. We just trimmed it so it's up behind the stamped metal on the truck. Last step we're doing is we're installing these side straps. So this rectangle cap, you're not going to save it, just break it out of there. And then take a long screwdriver all the way through. There's a cap on the other side. Simply just break it through. I take the bolt from the back side, I find it to be a little bit easier. Put the strap like that. Washer, nut, and just leave it loose until you get your front bolts in. If you noticed on this, it's slotted on this bracket, and that's due to the fact that some people buy these plates that they weld to the front that is supposed to make this plate stronger. We don't do it because we don't need to do it because of this strap, but there's some people that like that mod, so it compensates for that mod. Bolt through the front, bolt through the front, flat washer and nut on the back side. Tighten everything up with 2 3/4 inch wrenches or sockets. Okay, so here's the completed bumper on the 3rd gen Tacoma. This is a full hoop bumper, which means it has the center hoop and the headlight hoops. There's 2 other hoop options. You can do no headlight hoop and the tall hoop, or we also have a low profile center hoop that comes just below your center line of your grill. Key points again are the bumper works with stock or aftermarket fog lights. It accepts a 20-inch dual row light bar, a 10,000 pound winch. It has cutouts in the face to high lift from. And the reason we put them here is because with the D-rings being down on the bottom and you put a shackle in it, it's tough to get the nose of the high lift safely under it to lift the front of the truck. Also because the hoop can potentially interfere because the tangent edge of this hoop is flush with this face. So it's just a better lifting point. You have cutouts in the bottom to get to your winch solenoid in case you need to plug your controller in if you don't have wireless, or if the wireless controller goes up, you can still manually plug it in. And then there's a cutout on the other side so you can engage and disengage the spool to free spool the drum. And that's about it.